My Encounter with Jerry, Part 2. This is part 2 of a series of one lady who met a man named Jerry online and what unfolded. By this time, I felt like I was being trapped. Another loan company called asking for my father wanting payment. This time it was a loan from some kind of shady online broker. One of those places that if you need fast cash, call so and so, and a high interest loan that my father had taken out to the tune of just $1,500, but the payback was almost triple that. It's criminal if you ask me. As I was dealing with telling this shady loan company that my father had passed away, Dave called again, this time asking if I've made the transfer because Jerry's being taken into custody away from the airport holding cell and they need payment right away. I told Dave it's going to take me some time to even transfer that amount of money. He told me that he would talk to the customs agent, but I need to send it right away. Dave then messaged me the name of a woman in Athens, Greece, to send the money to, and instructions that she would send it then to the Chinese government via a bank transfer once she receives it, and then Jerry can be sent home on the next flight. I told Dave to please give me time, and he told me we don't have time. I felt so much pressure to get this money, and between all these events and my father's estate, I'm going crazy. I called my bank and checked what I could do in terms of balance transfers. I had several accounts. I had a savings, checking, and another type of savings account that was just a stash away account. I was able to transfer all the balances into one account, leaving just enough in each to keep them open. Dave called again a few minutes later, after I'd called the bank, telling me that Jerry's losing hope and that they have him in handcuffs and they're ready to take him to a Chinese jail. Then Dave said that Jerry's daughter knows that he had called and to let her know what was going on, and he had told Jerry's daughter that I was going to pay for her dad's release and not to worry. And Dave said that Jerry's daughter was so thankful and asked if I had done the transfer. Please show him a picture. Do a snapshot so he can verify that the money's been transferred and he can show the holding officer at the Chinese airport and they can process his release. Well, I went online and I did this transfer. Actually, I had to do two separate transfers of 5,000 each because of international transfer holds on my bank that if I did all the money at once, it would take 14 working days and it would delay. But smaller amounts go through nearly instantaneously. I showed Dave the copy of the transfers. Then I heard nothing until the next day. I received a call from Jerry. He thanked me for helping him and that he was released and awaiting a flight to Seattle, then on to Los Angeles. I told him I'll pick him up at the LAX airport and asked what his flight details were. He said he would let me know, but the call cut off, and then he called back several times. The call would disconnect each time. He said he's so low on data, and he asked me if I would get him a $100 Apple Card. He said he was flying home, and he'll give me the money and everything else I need. Jerry said that he kept a running total in his head of what he owed me, and he'll double that amount as soon as he sets foot in Los Angeles. I told him just pay me what you owe me, please. I don't need extras. The money was my savings to live off of until I get working again. Jerry had told me, speaking of working, we'll send you a packet in the email. It's for work and employment. He urged me to fill the packet out, but I'd gotten nothing in my email yet. He told me to watch for it, and then gave me a flight number. I told him I'll meet you at the airport, but he told me no, that one of his partners would meet him and Dave and take them to the bank to fix this account, all the things that Allison had done. He told me then he could pay me back. Well, I understood, and Jerry told me we could meet the next day for dinner and he'd pay me back everything he owes me. I told him we have a deal. Jerry texted me that he had just landed at LAX and he said Mr. Castro, his partner, was picking him up and Dave and going to the bank to take care of issues, and then they had a company meeting. I felt so much relief, knowing he was back in the States and knowing he will now get my money back. Jerry said that they were traveling to the bank and he took a photo outside one of the larger banks in Los Angeles. He said he was just outside the bank. I had half a mind to drive up there and meet him and surprise him, but I knew he said he was going to have a business meeting and I don't want to bother him. He told me to fill out my employment contract packet right away, and sure enough, in my spam folder, there was an employment contract packet from his company. It listed me as the assistant brokering manager, and that's the job he would offer. The packet wanted my full name and your typical information you give when you get hired. I updated my driver's license, uploaded that, social security, and emailed it back to the HR address on the email, which, for the record, it was not a Gmail or a Yahoo. It was an actual email from the company.com. I texted Jerry several times with no response. I figured he was busy, but I wanted him to know I was thinking of him, and I sent the packet. Then it got to be 11 p.m., and I heard nothing. I tried calling him, but he didn't answer. This is when I decided to become concerned. Well, maybe he got home and fell asleep. I just don't know. It was around 4 a.m. when I received a call from Jerry, and this is when things changed. Jerry said he needed to talk to me, and I asked him what was wrong and told him I was worried sick about where he was and how his meeting went, how the bank went. Jerry asked me how I would feel if he was not the man in the photos. My heart sank, and I didn't know what to say or what he was going on about. I asked him why, and he told me he was using somebody else's photos. And he asked me if I would still love him because he certainly loves me the same. Every word he told me was the truth, but his picture was not. I was perplexed and tired. I told him it didn't matter as long as his heart was real. He then told me that he will send me a picture, and he had used a picture of his friend Dave instead of himself because he wasn't sure if this online dating and meeting women online was right, and that he didn't have the mind to actually meet me, but then he realized how much he loved me, and he wanted us to meet. I told him I didn't care. I just wanted to be with him. I loved him for his heart, not his face. Jerry then sent me a bunch of pictures of who he said he was. In fact, he sent tons of pictures, flooded my chat. And that's when I knew this whole thing was weird. The pictures he sent me were of Jim Newman. Now, being a fan of the Village People and growing up on disco music, I knew right away it was Jim Newman. Jerry asked if we could still be together and showed me his, quote, real picture. I told Jerry no, and he asked why. I said, because this is not you. These are pictures of Jim Newman. It's not you at all. What is wrong with you? And where's my money? I hit the video call button on the chat, but it was met with a denial. I called Jerry on voice call, and he answered. Something in me broke, and I asked him for his real pictures. Why would you lie about being one person, then send me pictures of another person? It's Jim Newman from the Village People. This is where Jerry told me that I wouldn't love the real him. By this time I was screaming at him, what do you mean, the real him? Tell me who the hell you are. Jerry fell silent, then told me his real name is Emmanuel. I fell silent and asked him where in Los Angeles does he live. I'm going to come and see him right now. He then told me that he didn't mean to fall in love with me and that he's really truly scared and that I would have him arrested by Interpol. Interpol? Why? Where are you? This is when the man I knew as Jerry told me his real story. He said his name is Emmanuel, and as a side note, I decided to leave his last name out of the story for legal reasons, and the lady asked me to leave his last name out. He said he was 28 years old and lived in Lagos, Nigeria. That he said he was online trying to earn money as he's a college graduate but lost his job in the market and was without food and was supporting himself and his younger sister and his sick mother. He said he pretended his younger sister was his daughter, but that he really loved me and didn't intend on falling in love with me. That the money I sent was able to pay off his past due rent, get food into the house, and to fix up his car that was broken so that he could drive around and look for work, as it's hard to navigate for job interviews when the taxi system doesn't run all the time and it's too far to walk, and his sick mother, who apparently was very sick, needs medical treatment, So he got his car fixed so he can drive his mother to and from treatment to the hospital and help pay for treatment and medication. He told me that he always found Western women, especially older ones, attractive, and he found me to be his perfect soulmate. I sat in silence while he talked. Honestly, I couldn't tell you what all he said, as I was just tuned out from shock. He then asked me if we could video chat. I accepted, and before me on my screen was the real man, Emmanuel. Not a picture, not a broken camera or faulty connection, but the real man. As I stared into his eyes, I remember all the personal things I told him and the intimate photos and videos I sent him. I felt scared, ashamed, and in a way I felt peace. Seeing his eyes, knowing this is who you spoke to. And in his eyes to me seemed to be a very caring and honest man, and a little bit of sadness mixed in. His eyes were soulful and pitiful. I could see that. He began to cry on camera, telling me how sorry he was, how he never expected to fall in love with me, and that he was only trying to get up enough money raised to feed his mother and sister and pay off debts for their rental home, and to have some money to fix his beat up old car, to look for work, and take his mother to the hospital. He said his heart wanted me, but his mind knew better. When I asked him who the woman in Greece is that I sent the money to, he told me it was his aunt, who lived in Europe. She was able to transfer the money to his bank account, and that his aunt had been trying to get the family to Europe for years, but it's very difficult and expensive. Emmanuel asked me if I loved him. I told him I loved who he was, the fantasy he painted to me. He asked me if it was because he's from Nigeria, and I told him no, it's because you lied about your age, your location, your face, everything. I was angry, but I was also sad. His fantasy was kind of over. I hung up on him, didn't answer my phone for a few days. During that time, Emmanuel sent me message after message and linked to his real social media pages, begging me to look at him, to talk to him, even if it's to say goodbye, that he would somehow find a job so he can pay me back, even if it took a lifetime. I let more days go by, and I kind of got depressed over this, but in a weird way, I missed him being there for me. However, my real life, my finances were a total mess, and not knowing that I didn't really have a job with Jerry, aka Emmanuel, he had promised me this work, it was smacking me in the face. I didn't respond to him, and I figured he would just go away. But he didn't. Then life again dumped more problems on me. More debt from my father's past, more issues, more secrets uncovered with him, and it was as if no one cared. None of my friends or old colleagues reached out. The person who kept reaching out was Emmanuel. I finally replied to his messages. I read paragraph after paragraph asking for me to talk to him. Pictures of his car, his sister, his mother, his home life. Pictures of him holding signs that said, I love you. So much attention. Asking about me, praying for me, and I remember when my father passed how he prayed for him on the phone. This all got to me. To the point I replied, and I told him, let's talk. He right away replied. It was like 3 in the morning in Nigeria, but he answered, and we video chatted. It was dark on his side, and only one tiny light bulb was on his face. He said sometimes the power goes out, and it's on and off, and they have a battery-powered light that they use. He said he couldn't talk long due to saving battery power. In fact, he shut the light off and sat outside to talk to me, illuminated by a blue light that looked like some sort of bug zapper. He poured out his emotions. We cried together. He promised never again to lie to me, and asked if we can have a real relationship. Part of me wanted to, but my head was screaming no. He's 28. He's a young guy. You're an older woman. But we talked. And from the time he was honest, we talked more. Nothing changed except that he was Emmanuel and not Jerry, and I could see his face. He explained that he's tried to scam because there were no jobs. A colleague of him told him about it. He said he's a college-educated man who found work only in a market and was let go due to lack of funds to pay him. His mother was younger than me by a year. I was very mixed up, but at the same time, I was attracted to him as Jerry and now as Emmanuel. I told him we could try, But there were no promises, and I had to find work. A few weeks went by, and I finally landed a job. And while it wasn't my dream job, it was work. It was for a mortgage and lending company. It would allow me to catch up and put money in my savings again. We continued our online relationship, though. Emmanuel would show me how he was. He was collecting bottles and cans and scrap metal for money and even sent me photos of his collection. He then said his mother became sick. She needed treatment. He asked me for $500 to get medicine for his mother, crying on the phone to me. I felt his pain and I sent him $500, this time to his real bank account in his real name. As time went on, we made plans to meet. A visa for him would be difficult, and he asked me if I'd marry him and bring him to the States. I said, let's meet first. I had planned in the following summer to take time off of work to fly to Nigeria to meet him. He showed me on video his home. His sick mother would wave to me from her bed. His sister was always busy, but he showed me photos of her. And yes, I sent him some Apple cards to keep his phone going. I brought food all the time from his family from a local store and had it delivered, or he would pick it up. He then asked me if I would invest $50,000 into a store he could start to earn big money. He said there was a store for sale in the marketplace near his home. He could sell groceries and support his sickly mother and family. He told me in 1 year's time he would pay me back double what I invested. And he even came up with a business plan showing me profit margins, traffic, and how to earn. I never said he was stupid. He was actually really business savvy. I ended up buying into this and told him I would take out a loan to help him for our future. I did several bank transfers of 5,000 US dollars at a time until it reached 50,000. Transferring money was hard this way. Emmanuel started showing me photos of the store, and he was so happy. He said he was naming the store after me. You can call me Linda for this story, so he named it Linda's Market. He even showed me a sign, which I later found out was photoshopped. I told him, when I visit, I'll see this store, and he said he would start sending me payments of monthly earnings to try and pay me back. As I sorted through my father's affairs and settled the debts and closed that chapter, Emmanuel was there. He would go to church on Sundays and pray for me. He said I changed his life and he was no longer using fake profiles to try and get money, that I was his one and only that he talked to, and I changed his whole mindset on life. I made him believe that he can have a great job and he can be anything, even a CEO. I continued working and I had made plans to visit him in the weeks and months as it went on. Emmanuel wouldn't ask me for money straight out unless his mother was sick or he needed something for this new store. We continued our relationship like a real couple. But then one day I received a message on WhatsApp from a Nigerian number that I didn't recognize. Now, I had Emmanuel's real number. This wasn't it. This woman said her name was Mercy, and that she was the older sister of Emmanuel, and that she needed to talk to me because she had found out what I was doing, and I needed to know the truth. How she got my number to this day, I really don't have an idea, but she asked if we could talk. I told her sure and hit the video call button, but she wouldn't pick up. I told her unless we video chat, I don't want to hear from you, because I've had enough mystery calls and weird things happen. As a side note to this story, I was receiving calls from other Nigerian numbers, US numbers, and getting flooded and added to cryptocurrency mass chats, WhatsApps, and more. Well, this woman finally video called me back. She told me that she had heard Emmanuel talking when she went to visit his family home. He was talking to his friend and she overheard everything, and that she made me promise I wouldn't reveal who told her this truth. Marcy told me that Emmanuel was using me and scamming other Western women with fake profiles. That him and his friends all did it, and that he told his one friend, which she had overheard, that he was talking to me, and that he was planning to ask me to get a visa to get out of Nigeria and visit, and that I planned on coming to Nigeria to visit him, and he wasn't sure what to do, if it was true. I told her, yeah, but I wanted to know how she got my number, and how she based these stories on with facts. She said her brother had his phone sitting open at the dinner table one night. And she saw my number and took a photo of it and saved it, because she heard my brother using my name and that she was going to listen to it, and he said he was getting big money from me and that he had already taken thousands upon thousands of dollars, over 50,000 in cash and gift cards. This struck me because how would she know about this? I asked her if he has an aunt in Greece, and Mercy told me no, and gave me links to Emmanuel's Facebook. I had his Facebook, but this was a different one. It had hundreds of friends, where the one he gave me only had about 25 friends. She guided me through his Facebook page. As I clicked on the photos, she said, "Do you see this one with the woman in orange? That's his wife. Those are his two children." Wait, what? Mercy told me Emmanuel is married. He's 37 years old, not 28, and his wife and him have two kids aged 9, 12, and they have a baby on the way, as his wife found out she's pregnant just last month. The blood inside me boiled after I saw this, and asked about the aunt. Well, no, he has no aunt, not one that lives in Greece. He has a mother and father who live in a smaller village about 2 hours from Lagos, and sometimes they come to visit him, oftentimes sleeping in the living room. I told her one day he showed me a video of mother in bed, supposedly sick. Mercy told me no, that his parents are not sick, but when they stay, the mother always sleeps on the couch and always wraps herself in a sheet, sitting up on her phone. Mercy herself lives in Port Harcourt. Emmanuel and his wife and kids live in Lagos. His wife runs a hair salon, and Emmanuel owns an auto mechanic shop. So he's not unemployed? He's not starting a grocery store? He doesn't take care of a sickly mother? Mercy told me no, there's no such grocery store. They're not rich, but they live comfortably by Nigerian standards. They have homes, brand new cars. His mechanic shop earns big, and so does her salon. The kids are even in a private charter school. But Emmanuel and his friends, some from work, have been romance scamming for years. In fact, they've been doing it for about 15 years now, starting off in chat rooms. She condones this lifestyle, and it makes her angry. I was not his only victim. Mercy told me that she is not close to her brother because of his lifestyle, that she is married to a pastor and they're religious, but that she's condemned his lifestyle. But family is family, and she does visit his children on birthday celebrations, which is one of the reasons she was in Lagos visiting when she overheard him talking about his success and plans to his friends. He was plotting to leave his wife and children behind to come to America, and that prompted her to contact me. I was dumbfounded and angry. She knew too much to be lying. But she also told me that she has to be careful, as I knew, and if she told me and he found out that she told me, she could face threats or even be in physical danger from his friends. She explained to me that he does this with a group, and again, mostly colleagues he works with and mechanics at the shop, as well as friends from the neighboring tire shop. She even gave me links to the shops from Google and photos of him working that she had that were not on his social media, so I knew she was being honest. I asked her what to do. He's stolen thousands from me. I have a loan out. I'm going to visit. I'll call the police. But Mercy told me even the police can do very little. He's in Nigeria. You're in America. The police in Nigeria have thousands of people, just like Emmanuel, every day that they're getting reports on. She encouraged me to break off the relationship. Just disappear. Cut your losses. I condemn this lifestyle that he does. Mercy said she was leaving tomorrow to go back to Port Harcourt, and I halfway believed her, but my heart didn't want to. She could see this, and she told me that Emmanuel told his friend he plans on asking you for a Razor gift card tonight when you talk. See if he asks you for it. If so, I'm not lying to you then, am I? I thanked her and we hung up, and I promised her I wouldn't tell Emmanuel it was her who informed me. I didn't even know if I would confront him at this point. That night, Emmanuel and I talked. Another thing Mercy told me is he sits outside when his wife and kids are asleep to talk to me. And it's true, we talk in the middle of the night. He tells me that his house air is too still and he likes to sit outside. Truth is, the wife and kids are asleep, and sure enough, that night when he called me, He asked me if I could get him a $100 Razor Visa card as he said he was having trouble getting his mother's medication and there was an issue with his bank. My heart sank. Mercy was the real deal, in her words, and part of me was thankful and part of me was angry. I told him I'd have to see in the morning. I lied and told him I was feeling sick and very tired and unwell. He told me he loved me and wished me a good night. I started to block him on social media after we hung up, his real profile and his fake one. I filed a report with IC3 and the Nigerian Internet Crimes Department. I then cried myself to sleep. I felt like my world was falling apart. The next morning, I woke to a message from Mercy telling me she was very sorry and she hopes I do the right thing, along with several photos she sent me of Emmanuel with his wife on their wedding day and with kids eating dinner and in front of her hair salon. And she wished me the best and to be careful. These were photos that weren't on his social media either. I also had a message from Emmanuel asking if I bought his card yet and how he can't wait to see me and I'm the only woman he's ever loved. I was disgusted. I blocked him on WhatsApp without a word. I made sure to block him and any and all numbers he had. I was feeling dirty and used. About a week later, I got a message from an unknown number to me asking if I was playing games, that he knows how to play games too. This man's name on the WhatsApp number was Richard. He sent me videos of myself, the adult videos and photos that I had sent Jerry, aka Emmanuel, telling me if I didn't give him $25,000 in 24 hours, he would leak the videos to my work and friends. Mercy had told me in our conversations that he does this. He blackmails women. He did this to another woman. Partly I didn't believe her, but now I truly do. I blocked this person, but not before telling them that I went to the police. I never heard another word from any of the numbers, including Emmanuel and Mercy. I have gotten tons of friend requests online from fake profiles, and it took me a long time to financially recover from this, and emotionally, I don't think I ever will. My life is okay now. I ended up having to sell my home and pay off all my debts. The loans became too much. I ended up moving to a smaller city outside of the suburbs of San Diego. I found a better job, and I'm financially better now with the sale of my home, but emotionally, I'm a mess. But thank you, and it feels good to share my story. I'd like to thank this lady for sharing her story. I did it in two parts because it was so long and I had to edit a lot of the names out. She had sent some videos of him and videos of the family and kids, which I cannot include in the video, but I did verify her story. And the real man, Emmanuel, does have social media and he is married with two kids and looks to own some type of mechanic repair and tire shop. Oftentimes, scammers do confess and continue to scam you with another version of themselves. If you'd like to share your story, whether you lost money or not, scammingscammers@gmail.com. Just write your story to me. Any screenshots, any information helps me to verify your story. I will narrate it into a video. And as always, if you'd like your privacy, I can always change your name in the story for your privacy. Thanks for listening. Until next time, take care and stay safe.